Welcome, travelling friends of Australia. We are Willem and Anneke, and we hope you enjoy this episode of our podcast,
where we have a chat to other travellers and give them the opportunity to tell their stories and share the tips that they've learned along the way.
For this episode, we have Simon and Courtney. They're called the Team Peartons, or the Team Peartons Adventure is what their page is called. And obviously they've been through a few adventures themselves, and we're really keen to hear more about them and tell you guys about them as well. So let's hear about them.
Let's get to meet them.
How are you guys?
We're well. How are you?
We're good. I'm guessing you guys had a really awesome 2 days just from hearing what you got up to.
Out at Uluru, and we did the Field of Lights last night, and then up for the sunrise this morning. So I think we got up at 4:30 after a late night, and it was a big day. But it was good, and lots of time in the pool, and and then the night before, Courtney got to go on a helicopter and do the sunset flight over Ayers Rock.
Yeah, it was all really spontaneous. It was amazing.
Over Ayers Rock.
Just all random. We met a family, and they were like, "Oh, we got a spare seat," so I jumped on board, and it was so epic, amazing.
No way.
And then it's our daughter's birthday tomorrow morning, so we've been frantically wrapping presents and getting ready for tomorrow.
But, so it's just all party in Uluru.
It is.
It's all happening.
A red centre bender.
Yeah.
Nice.
That sounds awesome. So, welcome to our podcast, guys. We usually just run this as a casual chat, as if we just met you guys on the road, and want to hear all about your stories, why you're traveling, what you do, what you did before traveling, all that kind of stuff.
Anything you want to tell us, basically.
About your travels.
Well, I guess I'll start. So in 2016, we did half a lap. We just used our long service leave and entitlements and stuff, so it was a bit rushed, but we did it in, I think, just shy of 4 months. We did 17,000 K from Melbourne to Adelaide, up to Darwin, across the Kimberleys to Broome, and all the way down the west coast, and then across the Nullarbor and home.
Yeah.
It was challenging with a 3 and a 4-year-old. I think it was more challenging probably because we had to keep moving. We were on a time limit, and it actually, you start thinking in your head, gee, we got a clock, whether it's 1,000 K a week or whatever it is. So your stops are short and quick. So there were lots of drive days and stuff, but kids did really well. And that, I think from that, what we learnt the most was.
But even that, so it was Simon's little, he was watching the families, and it was not that common back then. I feel like in 2016, there wasn't as much social media and stuff. And so I was like, what? Who just quits their jobs and goes on the road and does this? This is crazy. What are we doing? And then so anyway, I obviously went on for the ride, but it was so that was a bit of madness too. And then finally we got into a groove. I just felt, I was like, oh, this is why. And there was so many cool people we met, but there wasn't that social media thing that's going on now, which is what we'll get to in a minute. But that's been really good for us.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing we learned about that is we didn't love where we lived. Mm-hmm. So the first thing we did when we came home was put our house on the market and moved to where we wanted to live, which was actually back where we grew up. So that was really nice. And so I think, in 4 months you don't really have a chance to, I guess, create full-on new habits. However, we learnt a lot on the road, and particularly, as Courtney said, we met just some absolute legends. And, these are people we still see and speak to today. We just caught up with an elder couple, Bob and Sue, in Townsville, and they've flown over to Melbourne to see us because they adopted the girls as their sort of grandparents. And then, but we got sucked into corporate jobs and, that sort of, that lifestyle, and that lasted a while. And, we're actually up on a holiday in Port Douglas in September last year. And then just perfect timing. The Hockings, who are just our favourite travel buddies, they're just awesome. They're still going after four
prior
and
to
a bit
that,
years.
so we came back and we were like, what are we doing? Like, we don't like where we live. We put our house on the market, got it ready, and we're like, we need to hit the road as soon as we can. Like, Simon just wanted to keep going. Like, he's like, I'm not getting out of the car in the van. Like, you guys get out and I'm going to keep on going. But I was like at that stage with a 3 and a 4-year-old, and we had a beautiful home that we created and thought that it was like this home that we're going to live in forever. So we went back and I was like, oh my God, look how much space we have, and almost unnecessary space.
So our ensuite was bigger than our caravan that we just lived in.
The house was 40 squares and we thought we needed that. And it turns out we don't need that at all. And there's a lot more to be, like memories to be made, not that life. So anyway, but so we went back and did that. And then it turns out that we went to Emerald, and then I don't know where I was going with that. You were saying, so then we moved to Emerald, and then we were there for a few years living like this. Just we downsized because we were like, we don't need a big house anymore. And when we built that, it was so new and beautiful and everything. And then we decided that we just needed something simple that had all the, like that was.
Yeah, we're more after community and people.
Yeah, and it was an older style home. But anyway, we ended up almost buying a property of 30 acres, and we met this family again. Like, we caught up with them.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, it went from almost settling on a home to
finding a loophole to get out of it. Yeah, we just saw it. As I said, our friends are Hocking. They were on a high as they'd just done Cape York and stuff. So we drove up and saw them in the Daintree, and we sat in the resort that night and said, "What are we doing?" So that was in September, and by early January, so just a couple of months, we quit our jobs and rented our house out and. Bought a 4-wheel drive, bought a caravan, and off we went.
It happened so quickly. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome, eh?
Yeah, what a story.
Yeah.
Well, it's not often that people just go, nah, like, we're not going back. Like, we actually had a lot of people who started the start of the year, and now it comes to the time where their 12 months is up, need to go back to reality.
Yeah.
And most of them are probably going to go back to reality.
Yeah. It's so easy to fall back into that lifestyle and to not make changes as well, or to think you're going to make all these changes and then you don't, which is what we learnt too on our last trip, that we were like positive that things were going to change, whether it be in our relationship or the way we raise our children or the way we look at life or whatever it might be. And then I feel like we came back with so many new perspectives, and it quickly did fall back into like you just got to do. So you need to constantly remind, and I think that's what the longer trip does, is that it's forced habits. It's creating these new friendships where they're lifelong friendships, and then they instill things in you as you like continually catch up with these people. And so that's what this time has brought for us, is those friendships and creating like.
And I think and just the amount of families. Everyone thinks the caravan lifestyle is grey nomads. It's not. It is families, and we're everywhere, and it's fantastic. And everyone's got a story, and that's where you find out, where some secret little places are that maybe not everyone knows about. Again, you create lifelong friends.
And I think everyone's hit the road for a reason. Like you all then. Get one another. You're all on the same page.
Yeah,
and
it's like an instant connection.
Yeah.
I think it's very easy, like you said, to just fall back into that, because the people around you, that when you go back to the normal life as people depicted,
can't really talk about your travel to those people.
The people just make you feel comfortable, and you fall back into that comfort zone, because that's how people are supposed to be living. So it's weird for people to grasp that, you can just live out on the road and wherever you want and do whatever you want. It's very hard to grasp.
And I love, because I'm a creature of habit, so like I love my friends and my family at home, and you know, like, and even just routine, like that normal routine. Everyone's so, like, when we left this second time, everyone's like, "Why are you doing it?" I was like, "I actually love my life. Like, I don't really want to go. Like, I know how good life is on the road, and I know how much we're going to get out of this. But like, I'm studying psychology and I'm doing a degree and I'm nearly at the end, and everything was like all my ducks in a row, and got a good job, and got a good house. Our community is awesome. We'd moved house, that sort of thing. But I was like, but there's so much more. Like, just I know, and I know for us, but I knew for Simon that like, this is also for like so much what he wants to do, and for us as a family, how much we can get out of this traveling, and that there is so much more, and I can do all that other stuff, like, that's to come later. Like, you can always settle down, you can always do your normal thing. So it's made me, and I, at home, I don't reach out and like go and meet other people. Like, I'm not a social butterfly, but on the road it sort of makes you step out of your comfort zone, and you discover new aspects of yourself. So that's what I love.
And I'll talk to anyone who'll listen to me.
Yeah.
No, I to go wandering.
It's good. I think it's very therapeutic, you know, when you're out on the road, and it's so relaxing and just therapeutic that people will enjoy it. And once you know that lifestyle, it's hard to go back, sort of, you know. But one of the days you kind of have to. I mean, we're trying to hit the road as soon as possible because we want to enjoy our time that we have with our kids that are 2 and 3. And, you know, so as they grow up, they're not going to want to be with us anymore. They're going to start their own family. So it's important to spend time with them now, I reckon. So, and then again, we can later on settle down somewhere and they can move on with their life. And
in our block.
That's just how it happens. But
that's what we found to experience as a family, because you find to, like, you stop and you obviously you come together and you make a family, but then you tend to just go off on your own little journeys at home. Like, you both go to work, and then they go to kinder and school, and you get so disjointed, and you tend to just be so far apart, whereas traveling makes you come back together and actually see them swimming and see them diving and learning and experiencing all these beautiful things, and our countryside together. Like, it's amazing, and especially when they were young to see them do that.
And I think just to take the stress out of life, you know. For me, I was working on the other side of the city in Melbourne, and Melbourne traffic, and you're trying to get out of the office on time. You're trying to pump through peak hour traffic, and you know, God knows how long that's going to take, and you're stressed by the time you get home, because then, you know, you've got swimming lessons with the kids. So quick, you walk in the door and you pretty much scoop up the family and back in the car out to swimming lessons, and you're still trying to catch your breath, come back, hurry up, bath them, feed them, bed, and then you're trying to do your own stuff. And it's I guess that's a bit
do it, don't you?
You do it, but
it's a roller coaster of life.
I mean, just to take that sort of stuff away and do it at your leisure, and
I mean, people still do that because they want to do those sorts of things, but it's
people that love.
It's tiring, isn't it?
Yeah.
And sometimes you want to do it to be there, like, so you want to say, oh, I didn't miss a swimming lesson, or I didn't miss a gymnastics or anything, but sometimes you're not really there when you're there, if that makes sense.
Your mind's wandering off to other stuff.
You're on your phone.
Oh, you're not your best version because you're thinking
tired
about your job or something else, and you're tired, and
But for you guys to now having went back and now on the road again for the second time, how do you sustain that? Like, what are you guys doing to keep that going?
Well, it's funny you say that. It's almost the third time, because we were pretty much not welcome. We were on Stradbroke Island when the world went crazy with COVID. So we came and we didn't have phone, like, reception or anything. So we didn't know what was happening, and we come back into...
the extent of it.
Yeah, the extent of it. We came back into sort of Maroochydore, and there were many messages on our phones and stuff, and we thought, what's going on? Like, you know. And then, you know, the caravan park we're in was going to close, and there's a lot of uncertainty. No other caravan park around there would take us. exploring every option to stay, and we made a decision to go back to Melbourne, which we did. We went and topped up the funds, but we lived in the van in my brother's driveway, and then that was hard work, and we felt like we were on top of them.
So we did that because our house that we own was rented out. Yeah. So the lease was until next year, and it wasn't available. And then another house that we had rented out, we had the fear that they were in a situation where they might not be able to pay the rent, and we choose not to work on the road just for that adventure, and we saved and we're money smart and budgeted really well, so we don't do anything on the road to make money, and that's what made us determine that we needed to go home when all that stuff hit. It was a bit too scary to just keep going and we thought it was negligent to put ourselves at risk. So
not only that as well, and it doesn't look good driving around, and also there are a lot of the places you want to go were then closed. A lot of the communities and the towns you want to go to, you weren't welcome. So
we wanted the best experience, not to be doing it. Like, we obviously knew what was in it for us, but we didn't want to do bad by anyone else or make it look.
So we're at home for a bit, and then everything started to move.
So Simon had quit his job, left work prior to this, because it was really stressful and was going to make some huge life changes, because work was just ridiculous, crazy. And then when we went home, he went back to work the following day. So we'd been on the road for 2 months.
Super popular for that one.
Well,
on the road for 2 months, full on, amazing. But obviously that was a transition too, just to get back into the swing of things. But then this whirlwind of okay, we're back home. And then next minute I was in the van schooling the kids in lockdown in someone's driveway. And he was back at work at the job we hated, or not hated, but that was a full on trip. So,
And then it was a bit of just staying ahead of the curve from there. We rented a house week by week to get settled for I think 6 or 8 weeks, and then they started to bring in the ring of steel. So we moved in the van down to my mum's place, is in Regional, and then we went up.
So the house we rented didn't have furniture in it. We bought everything out of our van and lived in a house unfurnished.
Wow.
And then
it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
But it's all the things you just do. You need to keep your dream alive. Yeah. And if this is what we need to do, then.
So then we lived in the part of the van in a paddock at my mum's house for a week and a half while we got our permits sorted. And then when they came through, we legged it to the border and got into New South Wales, which we had the transit one that was fine. And then we drove 7.5 hours from Dubbo to Goondiwindi, which was where we were supposed to cross for our Queensland one. Yep. And then, they pulled us apart for about an hour and went through absolute luck with a fine. We had everything in order, so it wasn't an issue. And it was actually good to see that they did their due diligence on it all. Yeah. And then they go, into hotel quarantine, which was another 4.5 hours away in Ipswich.
So we did a 12.5-hour day in the car with the kids.
Yeah, and then to sit in a hotel room in Ipswich for 14 days with no opening windows, no balcony, no
to go to jail.
And to pay $5,000 for the privilege.
No way. So going from all open spaces in your caravan and then into just a box like that.
So we regret going back and making that decision to go back to Vic.
But we figured it was $5,000 well spent to keep our dream alive. And again, we did have the opportunity to earn a bit more cash while we're at home. So it was money well spent. And it was at a perfect time where there was that footy on for 20 days in a row. We were right in that 14, so I was okay.
Yeah, it was hard. So just on a flip side, so we went back and the kids were on this high, we're only 2 months in. We sort of said to them, this is what's happening, there's this sickness and whatever, and we explained it. And then so we got back home, but they didn't really understand that we couldn't see anyone because we were in lockdown. Anyway, so it quickly changed, and they were like, we don't want to leave again. We're done. Mum and Dad, please don't make us leave again. And they started getting really upset about it.
Really?
So so then that changed my thoughts about, I was like, I don't even know what to do anymore. They were that. And they're 7 and 8, so they really were crying, and they were saying, we don't want to leave. we're going to miss our family and friends, and there's this thing like, what if we get sick? And they started like making us question everything.
Yeah.
But Simon was
I just said,
like,
shut up, we're going to
Oh, they'll get over it soon once we hit the road again and see the beauty.
Yeah.
But yeah, but sorry, back to your original question anyway, you know, how do we sustain, you know, that after we you know, going again and that, and it's just, it's what you said before, yeah, it's once you get a taste of this lifestyle, it's
addictive.
It's addictive, it's refreshing, and you know, as we said, like we were on our way to WA, we've booked Margaret River for Christmas, then the South Australia clusters happened, so then we all went, we met three other families, which made four of us. We're all going to do this 1,500 kilometre track from Uluru to Kalgoorlie, so we crossed in the NT. That's fallen on its head after we spent all our money on jerry cans and spares for the cars and all that sort of stuff, because we couldn't get the land permit to go through the Indigenous communities.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So they want you to drive non-stop,
Yeah,
pretty much.
yeah, not allowed to camp, and it's just over 1,100 k between fuel stops. So that's not ideal when you're towing caravans and that. So seemed a bit impossible. So again, you know, then that's life on the road. Just
things change,
and you get to adapt to. But it's not only that. It's sometimes we pull up somewhere, you meet a great family, you know, you have an extended happy hour with them, and then they're going somewhere or staying, and you're like, oh, well, let's do that too. You know?
Yeah, our time's not finished yet, which we were going to leave tomorrow and go to Kings Canyon. But we're thinking that we haven't really truly seen everything, because we want to go to the Olgas and stuff and drive out there. So we're like, well, we're not bound. Like, let's just maybe stay another day, and then we'll do Kings Canyon on Tuesday, if that's the day it is.
But, so it's good. It's the plans. Yeah, you got to have a plan, but it just can't be too detailed.
Yeah.
So talking about your plans, so what sort of favourite destinations have you visited so far, and which ones do you still want to go and see?
Oh, good. Well, if you can see there, we've completed the whole map now.
Do you want to move?
Wow.
Not sure if you can see that in both trips, apart from Tasmania. But I look, you know, again, watched your podcast with Adam and Carol from Barefoot and Breastless, you know, because we did the Cape with them, and Josh and Elise Tate.
Yeah.
And the thread, just something like that whole experience is something I'll never, ever forget. Yeah. And I'd always wanted to get to Cape, and I honestly had high expectations of Cape York, but I didn't really know what to expect. But I just, you know, there was, and it exceeded any expectation I had.
And it helps for the people that
the people with just made it. Just absolutely made it, and that's half the adventure as well.
And it's everyone's stories as well that just make you so passionate about, like, hearing their story and then getting to experience it with them. That makes it extra special. Yeah.
But so Cape York or probably Karanjini would be up there for me. The national park, just inland from Port Hedland. It's just it's amazing, that place too.
And spectacular in their own untouched ways. Both of those places, because we've found other places that we're like, oh my god, this place is so livable, we could just uplift and move here. But then we've got other places like you can't move to Cape York, like that's ridiculous. But for the adventure we would do that every year. It's like just incredible.
And although we did spoil ourselves a couple of weeks ago and just did 10 nights at Hamilton Island in a 2-story house. So
we had some contacts.
Hey, it's not what you're not to, you know.
Yeah.
So.
that's part of the game, isn't it?
Yeah. Australia's for that.
Yeah. Making this traveling podcast, make some connections.
Yeah. Well, I know the Cape is probably like it's tough. So like I know I've heard of a few other people, my mentors, including Brendan Morley, the Lifestyle Hustlers. They slept in a villa as well straight after in Port Douglas. So they were like, no, it was rough, and they only went for 8 days. But
and I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's just like everyone does it differently, like the experience that you choose to do. But that was another thing for us. Like we did do it really hard. Like we did it in tents, and the others, like Adam and Carol, did it in swags, and then they continued to do it in swags.
They're unbelievable. Gives you
another perspective and appreciation as well of living like it more simple because like we tour around 23.5-foot van or whatever it is, but like you also don't even need this. Like we can do it just in a tent. And that's what we did for the like 2 weeks. We did the tent and we'd set up like each day and whatever. And it just, how simple was life? And then we had such a good time because it wasn't that towing and the stress on Simon, like, you know, that setup and then whatever.
But there's so many things. Like we're all pushed, you know, because Adam and Carol, I think, said that, we did the old Telegraph track and, you know, we did it over 5 or 6 days because we just like to camp and we found a couple of really cool water holes to swim at and that. But, you know, like just watching, you know, even Adam push his Hilux to the limits, to things I don't think he thought he could do. And just the exhilaration and, you know, the cheers as he got through and, you know, it was just the hype and the high was, as I said, something I'll never forget.
It's definitely something we look forward to doing, I reckon.
So tell us a bit about your setup. How's your setup going?
Yeah, good. So we've got a new Navara, so a dual cab. It's lifted and big wheels and snorkels and all that. So it's all geared up for, and actually really impressed with what it's done. We've got a Jayco Starcraft Outback, a triple bunk one. We've only got 2 kids, but we've got a triple bunk van, which the third bunk's really handy for storage. And we've got a separate shower and toilet and stuff, and it's
we thought, so we downsized from upsized from our other van. We had an expander pop top, and knew that going for longer that we needed that extra space. Looking at it now, like you could easily do it less than this because of how heavy it is towing. So I have occasionally towed, but I feel it. Like I feel stressed and I feel like you can feel it swaying and you'll pass other cars and stuff. So I don't know, like if we had our time again, maybe we'd go a little bit smaller just because.
Maybe a 19 or 24, I think it'd be perfect.
And we don't spend a lot of time in the van. It's more outside. It's just these hot, like we've had literally 2 weeks of 40 degrees, like 38, 40 plus.
And you need aircon.
You need aircon,
and with that temp, like then we've been spending a lot more time in the van that we wouldn't have normally.
But this would be the first 2 weeks we've spent days in the van because you literally just sleep in it pretty much. So.
And then we've just got an Oz tent that if we do trips like Cape York and stuff, and when we went to
Stratty and we used a tent at Lions Den because we did the crab track and all that again with Adam and Carol and
so that was handy. And then that's about it. Like we're really quite simple, really. We've probably got a whole lot of unnecessary things that the kids carry around. But
so do you have Sorry, go. No, you go.
Oh no, I was just gonna I was just gonna say it's probably one thing that was really good about actually going home for the lockdown is we were able to just recalibrate. We had our electric bikes, which, you know, they're about 38 kilos each, so we left those behind. We had the kids' kayaks on the roof, which pretty much took up the whole roof rack of the car. So we got rid of those and picked up an inflatable stand-up paddleboard instead that goes into a little backpack. And, you know, we had a 3.5 kVA generator, which was about 50-something kilos. That we didn't even put fuel in it. So, you know, we got rid of that. And, so it was a good chance to, you know, what we thought was our ideal setup. We lived it for a couple of months and we're able to come back and recalibrate it. And I think that's pretty common on the road. You see people dropping stuff off or sending stuff back home or, So that was good to do that.
Yeah, awesome. I was going to ask if, like, so when you do go with just a tent and the ute, is like your ute set up to, you know, with a fridge and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So we've got a 70-litre fridge in the back of the car. And I mean, the car's got an awning and all that on it as well. Probably don't use that.
And then we just got tubs that we sort of just make fit whatever, you know, like that we need for that specific trip.
So
and
we
then we got a roof bag.
And we got the roof bag as well. So
that's supposed to be waterproof. It's not waterproof.
Another story. But and you know, we've got obviously for Courtney and the kids as well, you know, so we've got a 20-litre portable camping toilet and that
and a little
to take away with them and just you know,
Yeah.
I've seen the non-waterproof bag on the content,
So they bought our
talking
size.
about. Is
Yeah.
it the same one?
Yeah, if you're watching this, Josh.
Did he rope you into buying one, did he?
Here goes, I'll pick one up for you, you know. Thanks, mate. And yeah,
Yeah.
both of them haven't fared too well. You know.
Luckily, we didn't rely on the waterproof factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no.
Well, that was probably the next question. Any epic stories, and that's one of them. But any other interesting or funny stories they can share with the listeners?
Oh, look, I guess it's not all rainbows.
Yeah.
You do have bad days. You have bad days, and you have tough days, and you have challenging days. And I think you've got to remember two things. One, it's all part of the adventure, but two, you know, a bad day on the road is better than a good day at work. And, you know, for example, we just camped up at Devil's Marbles, so it's a couple of hours north of Alice, and it's just these big, beautiful, highly recommend it, great spot, you know, but we got there.
It's the desert.
And, it was 44, 45 degrees when we got there, and it was the only spot time we free camped in the last, couple of weeks because of the heat. We normally free camp a lot, but obviously the aircon doesn't work. So we tried out there, and
because we got generator flick.
Yeah, we got all the 12-volt fans, and we've got a really, really good setup and that. But you know, when it's that hot, it's not doing anything. The flies were there by the million, and we didn't have fly nets. We were unprepared.
So it was like, so it's 45 degrees through the day, and it dropped to 39 through the night, and it didn't change. Like I was like all positive, like, come on guys, it's fine. And we ended up resorting to like putting towels into the freezer, like full bath towels in the freezer, and laying them over the children. Like it was
to
like,
try and cool them down.
Oh, shame.
So we've got a magnetic fly wire thing on the door, you know, because the kids leave the door open all the time. Whatever. So we ended up pulling that off and wrapping them around our heads as fly nets.
Because we didn't come prepared.
It was just intense. So the night was terrible. The kids were up all night. We were up all night.
And then I set the alarm too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, watch the sunrise.
I sat out and slept on my camp chair for a little bit, and sort of it was like a rotating door for the kids coming out to try and cool down. And Courtney's wedding towels, put them in the freezer. But yeah, she set her alarm so we could watch the sunrise. So I think we all went to sleep maybe about 2:30, 3 a.m.
The alarm went off.
The alarm went off, so we got up, and then obviously, you know, rough night, so we were tonguing for a coffee, and the fridge had overcooked, you know, just in the sheer heat. So all our milk was like custard and curdle.
No.
And then
and then we had
infested by ants.
Oh yeah, the caravan was infested by ants when we woke up.
So normally, we'll pull up and sort of see if there's any ants or whatever, but put like some powder around the wheels, like whether it's whatever, but even baby powder like can be used. Yeah. And we hadn't done that because we hadn't really seen the ants. And next morning, it was literally like ants like on our bench. We've never had that before.
They came out at night when it was cooler.
At 3 a.m. when
so we all agreed we were all tired and grumpy, and let's get in the car at 7 a.m. and let's get in the aircon and get down to Alice, and then get a flat tire on the caravan. Even left, so you know they were up jacking that up, and I was a barrel of laughs that day. But you know, that's one story. But we look back and giggle now. You know, we towed our caravan to Fraser Island. That was a pretty epic story. So through Inskip Point, got bogged, had to get towed, got bogged getting off the barge. You know,
and like had all these people waiting for us. You know,
but we got bogged there, and you know, we got out. Now we couldn't stop giggling. It was literally the funniest thing, and I'd got it bogged, and I had the windows down to try and talk to her because we had the max tracks down, and we just buried those, and sand's flying in the window. We had a sand dune in the car, and you know, all just good stuff.
Yeah, but we made like that same day we made like another dozen friends because they helped tow us out. And,
it's all part of the adventure, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Is. Yeah.
Remind me not to go traveling with them. Sounds like everything wrong.
It sounds like a great adventure, actually. I don't mind.
It's a great adventure, you know. But yeah,
but it
probably
all turns out okay.
It all turns out
Yeah.
okay, you
Yeah.
know. Probably the most epic of all was, probably the tally track for me, though, for Cape York. And we did the gunshot in our car, the drop, where you drive pretty much off the edge, and Palm Creek, and we're up to almost our windscreen in water, and, you know, it was just... I could sit here all night and tell you about the tally track.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know the waterfalls, like the photos from the waterfalls as well, like just, or like in the pools and stuff, just sit in that, I think would just be amazing.
Yeah, it's like you're in another world.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more people we talk to, the bigger our list grows.
Yeah.
But
We'll get there. Do you guys have any tips?
Less is more.
What do you mean by
less
that?
Less is more with your gear, with
I think don't have expectations and don't compare yourself to anyone else, because everyone's going through their own things. Like as I said before, like everyone leaves for a reason, and they've hit the road for a reason, and they've got their own baggage, and they may share it and they may not. But so I feel like so just live your own life, but obviously be part of everyone else's journey and take all the good things from them. I find it hard at the moment, like, I guess, and I sort of am looking for tips on other people with schooling, because the girls are like in grade 1 and grade 3. So that's been a challenge for us, and it takes its toll, because you want to make sure that they're not falling behind when you're like you're on this journey, and you sort of don't care, because you're like, they're having this worldly journey and they're learning so much anyway, and they're with us, and we know they're clever kids. But at the same time, we want to make sure that they're not going to re-enter school and be like struggling or find it hard to transition back. So that's one thing that I've just been getting tips from how other people do it, but at the same time, everyone's different. And some people make it look like it's such a beautiful journey, but it is tough.
We're guilty of that.
Yeah, but it's worth it. Like, and you go through patches where you're just like, what are we doing? Like, it's actually easy to live a normal life at home, but the journey, but I remember that feeling of being home and then going, wow, like, what an experience. I miss it already, like, instantly. So it's just remembering each day, like almost waking up and doing like your little prayer thing, you know, just being like, I'm grateful, like, where am I? And looking out the window and just taking a moment and doing that at night. And that's another thing with like the sunrise and sunsets. We've made it, because we're at Uluru and, you know, Devil's Marbles and these places where we're so remote. We've been doing sunrises and sunsets where there's been so long where we haven't even done that. And those moments take you back and make you appreciate that, like, you know, this life on the road, because you don't get up in the morning at work on a normal day and just go stand out on your balcony and watch it.
Press the snooze button. Can I sleep another 2?
So I think it's those things. But,
and you know, it's expensive as well. It can be expensive, you know, and everyone's got different budgets and different things. I mean, we've never eaten so many salad wraps for lunch every day, but you know, it's what works. And then we'll save to go out for a pub feed or something once, you know, there's a big group of people or some travelling friends we've caught up with. But just make sure, main tip would be, make sure your budget's big enough for the beers, because bloody happy hours are going to be the death of me. Seriously.
Like, you forget what day it is. Yeah. But and we also, like, for us, we may be a bit different. Like, I feel like we do have, we've always lived pretty tight budget, like, just not because we're tight, but just because that's the way we sort of have always done things. Like, we had our first house. I was 18 and Simon was 19, and we bought our first home. So we've sort of just always lived by those rules, like, just to save as much as we can, because then we can just, you know,
use your money wisely.
So we still do all the good things, but we just might not, like, we think a little bit more, and we're not really carefree with it. And we tend to spend more on our experiences than food and that sort of thing, like going out and eating and coffee and that sort of thing. So,
I mean, we did a helicopter flight over the tip of Cape York, and did that for the kids, and there's I could really, took them to the Great Barrier
and
Reef, all that, Croc Creek, all that sort of stuff, and that's where we'd rather put our money than going to a cafe for lunch every day.
Or eating gourmet. We still eat well.
So the kids are now, you said before that they didn't want to leave again when you were back in COVID. They said no, they don't want to leave. Are they like now?
How are they feeling now?
Again? And,
It's beautiful now because the nans ring all the time, and the girls' grandpa rings all the time, and they're still talking to a lot of people, and you sort of eavesdrop on their conversation, and
make sure it's going in the right direction.
Yeah, but and you just hear, should have seen what we saw today, and this is the best thing ever, all that sort of stuff. And that's where we look at each other and go,
we're doing the right
thing. This is good.
Yeah, you made the right choice.
But again, there's times
because sometimes the families say how much they're missing them, and you like, that's really beautiful, but you want to shield them from it. You want to be like, no, shush, you don't miss them, because then they start to feel those feelings, which is real. I get it, but like the girls are emotional girls and sensitive.
But they're fantastic. Like, they've changed so much.
And remember Ella's comment? She's like, someone asked her that, and I think we were just finished hotel quarantine, and we're like, oh my god, like, what's she gonna say? Like, they're like, how are you and how are you feeling? And we're like, oh god. And then she's like, I didn't know how good this was gonna be. I'm so silly for carrying on like I did, or something like she. And we're like, what? And she's like, oh, I get to spend all this time, like, and because obviously in that we were like playing board games every day, and we'd have disco nights, and like we were making the best fun out of it.
Yeah, it was tight family time.
Yeah. She was like, good. This is the best. Yeah. So like, and I think that's what it is now. It's they get to spend so much time one-on-one with us.
Really all they need is like that love and
connection,
like feeling appreciated and loved, and that's all they need.
Yeah.
And the fact they need to make new friends most days. Do you know what I mean? Like, every day a new caravan will come in, or their friends who they were played with yesterday leave. You know what I mean? And it was hard for them to adapt to it first, and particularly they'd sit there and sort of eye off a couple of kids and go, oh, they look fun, or they've got a bike the same as mine, or I like their dog, go play Nana, and they'd waste 4 or 5 hours, and then by the time they actually go and play, we're like, come on in, dinner time or whatever. So they've learned now. They as soon as we drive into somewhere, they're looking for kids' bikes and that, and they're
don't waste any more time.
And those are the best skills to learn, like because I think kids these days get they don't learn that anymore. Like, it's just at school, then they get home,
they get in their little clusters
or anything else.
They don't talk to anyone else.
And I think as they get older as well, like, at home you've got a mobile, so once they get mobiles and stuff, they're just texting their friends, so they don't even know how to communicate like like this. So like, I find it even with adults sometimes, like they're just too used to talking to people through social media or texting or things like that I don't even
they can't read
they
people.
Don't call
you
and have a conversation with you. It's just a quick text. Like those relationships.
And that's the thing, you find that even here, like if you were to contact someone who wasn't traveling to say, hey, can we sit and have a chat with you, you mightn't get as many hits, but again, we love talking, we love meeting new people, we love talking to new people, and it's what this lifestyle is, and everyone gets it.
And we never say, like we say to the girls, you just say see you later, because it's never goodbye, because you do tend to see them later. Like, it's so strange how it all goes round. And like, we saw people just as an example, we pulled up at this random like El Dunda, where it's the turning point to come up to Ayers Rock, or you go down the Stewart Highway to SA or up to Darwin. And this van pulls up next to us, and we'd seen them in Port Douglas, another family.
Yeah, about 3 months ago or 2 months ago.
So far away, like in Queensland, and then turns out that they're doing the same as us now, and like they're originally from WA, they're going to Tassie, but But we're like, where do we know you from? And then turns out, like, we're like, oh my god, but awesome. Things like that are constantly happening. Like, that's just the latest that happened. And it's so beautiful, because you do, like, you can't have moments where it's a bit like sad, and you're just like, oh no, and then you're like, happen to see them again. We're like, okay, we're sick of saying this. Like, this whole
And that's the thing. Like, you go, we won't see it because we're going this way and you're going that way, and then you know, just anything can happen.
Yeah.
COVID, car
Things
troubles,
change.
this, and then all of a sudden you're back together again. You know, and it's
Yeah.
really
It's a small
refreshing.
world.
And we always exchange details. That's another thing. Like we always just and we never had a sticker on our car until recently, just to like sort of promote us, like we're Team Pearton. But we didn't do that just because we were like, oh, like don't really want to put it out there. Don't know why. But then we did, and we've got so many other families that are following us that we've met up with that have got other young children. And we're so thankful for doing that, like for sharing our page.
Because it's
like,
even, you're pulling to a town and there might be 3 caravan parks or 3 campsites or whatever, and you'll be driving through and someone will flick you a message. Oh, hey guys, how are you? Saw your sticker on the car. Hey, look, we're a travelling family. Where are you guys camping? Here. Oh, cool, we'll come with you. You know what I mean? And it's just, if you didn't have that, you just wouldn't make those
contacts.
Yeah.
Or people just don't know you're parked in a caravan park and you're just another van. Like there's hundreds.
Yeah.
So that's been really good for us.
Yeah, we're always people watching and going, oh, I wonder what those guys are doing.
Yeah, where are they from?
And now if they have their name on, you can just go and look them up and you already know a little bit. Just go and say hi, like you're Team Pearton.
And it's a talking point then.
Yeah.
So what is next for
Simon?
What is the plan? Where are you going and how long are you going to try and do this for?
Well, the SA COVID clusters sort of put a little spanner in our works. We tried anyway for an exemption to WA and were rejected on that to cross through SA. We're kind of at a pickle, so we've done sort of almost 6 months all up in Queensland. We're obviously at the bottom of the territory at the moment. We can't really go up because it's just so hot up the top through Darwin and that, and the wet season coming, and everything starts to shut down now. And like a big thing, we did part of the Gibb River Road, but we want to do it in its entirety. So again, there's no point going up north to go across to WA and having to scoot through there, and you can't go because the roads are closed and that anyway. So we need to hit it from the bottom. So we might float around SA for a bit. We've booked Margaret River with 4 other travelling families for Christmas. They're all already in WA, so we're hoping we get across there. And again, we just learn to roll with it. But our plan would be to go there for Christmas. And then take a couple of months up the west coast to get to the Kimberleys sort of at the end of the wet season, start of the dry around May, and just see everything like Mitchell Falls and all that just in full flight, and then come across the top again back into Darwin and do Kakadu, and then I think that'd sort of push it out to about 18 months or so. So, but anything could happen. So that's a ballpark plan, but it changes daily. So.
Sounds epic still, even though there's going to be some hurdles to jump over. I think like the only thing we need from you guys is just where your socials are. Are you only on Facebook or any other socials?
No, we're on Instagram too. So it's the same, Team Pearton's Aussie Adventures. We only just did that like in the last few months because we realised so many other families were on Instagram, and obviously it's a big network.
So our Facebook's a lot longer and a lot more detailed, as I said.
But our previous trip on it.
And Instagram's sort of only something with Courtney started in the last probably month, so it's just content on there and that, but obviously it doesn't go back as far.
And randomly you do YouTube.
We don't really have a YouTube channel, but sometimes we just have to do I like mucking around with a lot of videos and editing and songs are what bring it undone on Facebook.
And
obviously it writes for the music and that. So there are times that I just put them on YouTube and then we'll post a link to the page. So, but it's not actual, it's just my little private channel thing, but it's just a link to it.
And I guess that's something you've found a passion with too. Like Simon started like doing a lot of edits and stuff and just found his groove. So each day I'll like do some edits of what we did that day and then compile a whole thing. So each place we go to has got like a cute little.
So that one time when we get home, we've just got a whole video sequence, and they're not too long.
Well,
All
right,
Simon and Courtney, thank you very much.
Have a good night.